The Dallas Cowboys are in salary cap hell. And how do they get out of that? Paige Dimakos. Do they need to trade their all-pro edge rusher, Micah Parsons?
It's definitely the best and most logical option if you talk about where they are as a situation, right? And we've been talking about this all year.
Which this is so bad that you even, that's your best option.
It's your best option because you made bad decisions.
Yeah, that's why I say it's so bad. Yep.
Yeah, and you reap what you sow, right? This is Jerry. This is what you did. You waited to pay both CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. You overpaid both guys. Now you're in this position. Now you got to pay Micah. And what they're projecting, and oh, by the way, we've been telling you for all year that this was going to happen, so welcome to the show, the rest of the NFL media. But we knew this. We knew this was going to happen. We knew that they were going to have to pay Micah, that contract was going to come up, and they're already 43% of their total cap is with two players.
Yeah.
And if they project out what they're doing with Micah, it'll be 70% of the cap. You can't field a 53-man roster like that. It's not possible, Keith.
Especially with this setup, right? With
Correct.
Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, his son, and the rest of the hierarchy over there, because they've missed on so many draft picks already, right? You're talking about Mozzie Smith. Yep. Where is he? How many times did they miss at the linebacker position? Missing at the wide receiver position with Jalen Tolbert a couple years ago, right? So you don't even trust them to operate with only 30% of their cap to fill out the rest of the roster. I simply say they cannot do it. The Dallas Cowboys cannot do it as currently constructed. You can't pay Micah Parsons.
No, and the worst part of this is they fundamentally don't make sense, right?
No, they don't.
And because their philosophy is we don't do free agency. That's their philosophy. We don't get guys. We're loyal to our guys. We don't like paying people on the outside. Well, then you have to draft perfectly.
You're so glad you went to this.
You better draft perfectly, because if you don't, then how do you field a team? And this is why I teed this up, because I know how you feel about this. This is ridiculous how they operate this organization.
Yeah, so the problem is with the Dallas Cowboys, they listen to the noise, right? At LSU, we used to say block out the noise and focus on the task. Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones, as much as they want to say, they listen to the noise and they listen to the media. In my past life, I don't like to talk about my past life, I was a Dallas Cowboys fan, right?
Yep.
So I am very detailed and understanding of what the Dallas Cowboys were at one point in life. The Dallas Cowboys were not actually always a franchise that didn't pay people. Do we not remember them paying Roy Williams, the wide receiver, right? All of that money. Do we not remember them paying Brandon Carr? All of that money. They went aggressively, got Terrell Owens. What happened was, even Pac-Man Jones, right? They spent a lot of money getting him, and I'm more than sure there's even a couple more players out there. They were aggressive to about that 2012, 2013 era. Then they made an aggressive swing the exact opposite way. What I think with the Dallas Cowboys is that they're trying to prove to be the people that everybody said they were, but now they've overcorrected, right? They've overcorrected. They haven't spent any money in free agency to fill gaps, to put up stop gaps. And to be honest, what you paying your guys, right? You pay CeeDee Lamb because he's homegrown, he's our guy. You pay Dak Prescott because he's homegrown, he's our guy. Now you're sitting there with Micah Parsons, who's potentially the best player out of all three of those guys, and you can't pay him. You know what that's called? That's called embarrassing. That is embarrassing that you handled and mismanaged the salary cap. You handled and mismanaged the roster. You handled and mismanaged team building for the future years out to where you can't pay potentially the best player on your football team.
And it's just not how football goes.
No, it's not.
The free agency is just as important as the draft.
Yep.
We talk about it every year. We can't set our board until we get through free agency, just like every NFL team, because they go into free agency with needs. Then they address the needs they can the most efficient way they can, and then they go into the draft. I don't understand how the Dallas Cowboys missed the memo of what every other team in the NFL is doing. It doesn't make any sense.
Because they're the only team where their owner hops on the radio show weekly, right? They're the only team to where their owner is acting as the team president and the general manager, partial head coach. And this is how you get this combustible situation, because the Dallas Cowboys, I've said it, I'm going to say it again, they have no checks and balances.
No.
That's why stuff is out of whack there.
Yeah, it's out of whack, but it also doesn't add up, because it's, okay, we're not a free agency team. Okay, well, then you better focus on the draft. Well, then you should have a bigger personnel department and just totally robust, be kicking everyone's ass. Well, that's not happening.
Nope.
And if we're going to double down on our homegrown guys, then why the hell does it take you so damn long to pay them? It doesn't add up. You can't decide what you are. That's your problem. You keep telling yourself, no, we're this, no, we're this, no, we're this. No, do what everybody else does. It takes the whole purpose. You have to draft well, you got to use free agency, you got to develop your guys, and that's how you win a Super Bowl. Did you not just watch the Eagles sign Saquon Barkley and run for 2,000 yards to get there? Do they make it to the Super Bowl without Saquon Barkley?
No, it's not a shot. You don't even know if they're a deep playoff team without Saquon Barkley.
Or A.J. Brown.
Thank you. And then you look at it and you have to flash back to the moment to where Jerry Jones sat there and say they didn't have enough money to pay Derrick Henry. You can't be serious, right? And then you just signed Dak Prescott. Renegotiate the contract or something, right? Figure it the hell out at the end of the day to be able to get your team better.
But do it now.
Yes, do it now.
Start doing it now. Stop waiting for the last moment. And it's like everybody sees this. And I do think, though, Micah's talking. And unfortunately, I think Micah's going to potentially force Jerry into this one way or the other. Because they're talking into having to make a decision on what's going on. Because this is being talked about in a way that's like, hey, what are they going to restructure? Are they going to do this? Are they like everyone's talking about it? So there's going to be a lot of pressure on them to, one, kill this draft, and two, sign Micah. And to do that, it's going to take some serious renegotiating.
Yeah, I hope that they don't do the same thing. And we've talked about this before, right? Is those teams that the general manager and what happened upstairs affected the regular season. Meaning that the Dallas Cowboys are one of those teams, right? You prolonged the Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb signing. Y'all didn't play well. The Cincinnati Bengals was another situation. The Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins combination, y'all didn't start off hot, right? The Dallas Cowboys, y'all about to put yourself in the same exact position. Micah Parsons is too important to this defense not to have him out there for OTAs, not to have him out there for mini camps, training camps. He can't walk in week one and then say, okay, I'm ready to rock and roll. That's not fair to your defensive coordinator.
So I have a question for you, though, because the Cowboys are not talented enough as currently constructed, and they are in the situation they're in. So I pose this question to you. Because of the three guys there, Dak, CeeDee, and Micah, would you agree that Micah's the trade value that can get the most? So to put him on the trading block, you think you could get the most from him?
Probably.
I think yes.
Yes, probably. Yeah, because
Age,
Dak is
contract, and just overall impact.
Dak is coming off of injuries, right? And he's older.
And the contract.
Yeah, and the contract part, nobody's going to take that on. CeeDee Lamb, I think the Dallas Cowboys were probably the only team that would have paid CeeDee Lamb that much money.
Yeah,
I think
agree.
people think CeeDee's a good football player. I don't think everybody consensusly believes CeeDee Lamb is the best NFL.
No, he's a 2.
Yeah. Yep.
They paid him like a 1.
I called him a 1.5. I called him a 1.5.
And he can do some of the 1 stuff.
Yeah.
But if Amari Cooper was back there, who's the 1?
Yeah.
That's a problem.
100%. So I look at it like this, that
what can they get then for Micah?
What can they get?
Yeah, let's play that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you can get a couple first-rounders. You should be able to at least get 1 first round and 1 second round. I think you could get 2 first-rounders.
Might get one this year, one
next year, and then potentially a third or fourth-round pick, which is what you need, right? Because you need a hard reset, and when you look at how many holes that this Dallas Cowboys roster have, you need it. And to be completely honest, I'll take it a step further. CeeDee Lamb, back to him. I would look at trading CD.
Absolutely.
And Paige, fundamentally as a roster builder, as somebody that loves building teams, football, I don't believe in losing. The 76ers, right? That's basketball. I think they're paying for tanking, right? You're always supposed to compete. But the first time you're ever going to hear me say this, I think they should blow it the hell up.
They have
because there's no outs. There are literally no outs with this because you just paid Dak. I don't know how far you can extend his contract to figure stuff out. You just paid CeeDee Lamb.
So you need to get past this year with Dak. This is the year with the massive cap.
Yeah, and I think so.
This is the $89 million stupid.
That's my point. I would keep Dak. I would keep Dak, understand that we're probably going to be a 500 to below 500 team, draft a running back, invest in the offensive line, run the football, try to play solid defense, win 7-8 games, get the hell up out of the 2025 season and look to the 2026 season because I don't see a way out. Because we're talking about 70% of the cap. I believe you said it was already at what?
43%.
43. That's already
too much.
You're teetering on. You can't build a team with it.
No, the average start, like Joe Burrow, who just recently signed a massive deal, for context, is only 14% of the total cap. Like that's my point is that Dak was so overpaid, and so the way they did the deal was so bad, and it's because they waited and they don't know how to negotiate and they didn't force things in, and it's Jerry loses all bargaining when he when he just doesn't show up, because then he's forced into signing those guys. And he doesn't, it's like he thinks he's a great businessman and negotiator, but he doesn't negotiate well for any of this stuff in the NFL.
No, because
I don't get it.
You want to know what happened?
He's emotional about it.
He sat there, because people don't forget stuff, right? That's what we know is that people don't forget shit. So when you get up there and you're rolling me under the bus post-game, right, talking about Jerry Jones rolling Dak Prescott under the bus, and then, we in the mini camps, and you're talking about you like the backup quarterback also.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you know what I'm doing negotiation? I'm taking your ass to the woodshed, big
And I don't blame him.
And that's the disrespect part. It's like, you going to disrespect me? I have nothing for you. Pay me my money or let me move the hell on. And what they're creating, I said this and I'm going to say this again, the Dallas Cowboys have created a culture of selfishness.
Yeah.
You cannot win with that, right? And I agree with you 100% fundamentally, right? You have to have a quarterback who is forward-thinking, who is forward-outlooking. I even look back to the New Orleans Saints, right? I know you bring up Tom Brady, you bring up those quarterbacks, but even Drew Brees. He was a guy that they constantly used as a kick-the-can-down-the-road guy. Extend his contract. He was getting paid past even when he retired, right? Because he was willing to put the best team.
He wanted to win.
He wanted to win. But when I don't trust you, I want my money now.
Yeah, it's toxic.
It's toxic. So the Dallas Cowboys, at the end of the day, they have to figure out a new culture, but we don't know if that's going to change. So it's too many flashy lights and stars.
So
and
I got a
buying
little.
It's all around.
I got a little conspiracy. Okay.
All right. Let's hear it.
Because the last one that I projected out
came
to fruition.
The Deion Dallas, you were the first person.
Yep.
And I thought she was crazy.
And Deion interviewed for the job.
Yep.
Like, he interviewed for the job, and we all know what, like, unless they could guarantee that Shador was going there, that wasn't happening.
Yep.
And to be fair, I was like, all right. This played out exactly kind of how I thought it would. This is another one. The only way that they can salvage this, okay, because you know that Jerry sells to his organization and his fan base every year that they are a Super Bowl contender. And you gotta, even though we know that they weren't a contender last year, on paper, there were enough stars to get the fans tricked into it.
Yeah.
Right? So because of that, they have to make a hard switch. Trade CD, trade Micah, keep Dak, like you just said, right? And you put yourself in position to look forward to the future and a young man that's playing in your state.
I know you're going with this. I thought about this.
A man that has a name that rings across all of professional sports. And if you don't think the Mannings would take that phone call, oh, they absolutely would take that phone call. Because Peyton Manning would go in there and have a lot of say. Arch would go in there and have a lot of say. And I'm talking about Arch Manning, and I'm talking about UT, and I'm talking about tank for Arch, baby.
Oh, let's take it one step further. You hire Steve Sarkisian.
Let
him be the head coach.
You already know.
The thing is, we didn't even get to the Brian Schottenheimer hire, right? If you're willing to hire Brian Schottenheimer, there's no disrespect, right? But as far as handing him the keys to what everybody perceives to be the best. It was
a ridiculous hire.
Yeah, the best organization. The most valuable. I'll say that the most valuable organization
in professional sports.
And you say, you know what? We're going to fire our head coach, the guy who wins games and that has proven that people fight for him, and we're going to hire the offensive coordinator.
We didn't call plays.
What are we doing with this?
No.
It makes no sense at all. So I look at that. I want to wrap this with this. Let's look at trade destinations.
Whoa, hold up.
All right, go ahead. Where you want to go?
Give me a how much you like that Arch comp.
Oh, no, I out the park. Like, that's the only way.
It's the only way to flip it.
Yeah, and you probably adding $2 billion on to your team valuation.
And think about all the picks they could get for Micah and for CD for this year and next year.
You got to have a hard reset. And I agree with you, having a Manning in the building will help. But I almost feel the same way I felt with Deion. That Stephen Jones, he's not going to like that. He's not going to
I agree with you.
Because he sits there, and you know, because you know what, the movie Gladiator. And remember, it's the son, I believe. Oh, it's the guy. Yeah, it's the son. Remember, because the father, he passed away early on in the movie, and then the son was jealous of the guy that came in, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think it could be the same. It's always that jealousy of the guy that's coming in that's already heralded, that everybody already, is thinking about and believes in. I think that jealousy fact, and we know that ego plays a part.
100%. The only reason I think it could work is because it's the Manning family.
Yeah.
It's not one individual. It's a whole family. It's King Arch up at the top, who's an old white guy like Jerry, can talk the same language,
say the same
shit, can sit down and talk. They're talking each other's language. They are. Arch can talk the Jerry language.
So
it's different than Deion.
No, it is, but
I get it.
No, what I'm saying is that we look at it like the Mannings and the Jones. The Joneses feel like they're better than the Mannings.
Oh, yeah, but the
Mannings
feel like they're better than the Joneses.
That's my point. That's why I think this is going to blow up. There's another Shakespeare story for this, too. I don't know which one it is. There's another one for this situation.
I feel like there's a percentage of ownership in it for the Mannings. That's the lane I'm going.
That's huge. Yeah, and I think the Mannings will be all on board for it. My pushback people are the Joneses. And I like the situation because, like I said, the Dallas Cowboys need a way out. I never say this, but they got to hit the reset button. And I would probably trade Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb and then start from scraps and see how can we build this thing from the ground up.
Tank for Arch, baby.
Start the campaign. But let's talk about where would we trade Micah Parsons to?
I mean, there is not a single NFL team that would not take that
Wouldn't
man.
want him, yeah.
I think when you look at what happened to the Lions, it would be very interesting.
Ooh, that's a really good one. Wow.
To pair him with Aiden Hutchinson.
Ooh, yes, a proven guy.
Yeah.
And to be completely honest, as good as Aiden is, and this is a good problem to have, you don't know who's better. Micah, like there might be,
and they'd push each other.
Yeah, days Micah might be better, right?
Correct.
And
now who you double teaming?
Yeah.
Good luck.
That's a hell of a 1-2 punch.
They need another pass rusher. They need another guy.
They need another alpha.
Defense.
Yeah. They need another alpha.
And that mentality, that city, like that's what Micah needs.
Mm-hmm.
Micah needs to get the hell out of the stupid, flashy, and go play in a place that's going to bring him back to Penn State Micah. Like hard, toughness, but like he need to go there. And I think that's like Dan Campbell with him. Ooh, I like that fit.
So I have another one. What about those Chicago Bears? I think that could be a good spot for them. They desperately
him and Montez Sweat?
Yeah, they need a 1-2 punch out there. They need a defensive identity. And then, because the thing is this, with them switching defensive coordinators, we have to see what this is going to look like, right?
Sure.
Like, what is the new defense going to look like? And I think bringing in a Micah Parsons, I mean, you're getting Khalil Mack all over again, right? And what he was able to do.
And they have cap space.
To do it, yeah.
The Chicago Bears are top 5 with availability. You've got Caleb on a rookie deal. And because you've got him on that rookie deal, you got to take advantage of this window by filling it out with some of these guys. And, ooh, baby, I would love that for me. I didn't say that because I don't want to be selfish.
You didn't want to be home. No, but it makes too much sense. And also, if there's any draft that I'm willing to trade away a first-round pick, it's this draft.
Hell
Because my first round is the same as the second round. Like, you might as well just roll with it, right?
100%.
I think that's it, though. And I like that one. The last one.
The Bears got a top 10 pick.
Yeah. So, I mean, it'd only be one first-round pick, right? And you tell the Cowboys, because I believe the Cowboys are picking at 12. So,
and the Bears have 10.
Yeah, so you walk away, if you're the Cowboys, you walk away with 10, and you got pick 12 to be able to revamp your team and move on and move forward.
Oh, so, Ryan Poles, baby.
Make it
Looking
happen.
right at you. Pick up the phone. Let's make it happen, big dog.
The last one, another NFC team real quick, the Washington Commanders.
Oh, I like that for them.
They desperately need an edge rusher. Now, you have the interdivisional situation, but that's the problem I see when you're worried about the headlines.
Yeah,
what are you focused on, right?
Well,
are you trying to win football games?
They ain't going to do that.
No, because they're too worried about, oh, man, what happens next year? You know what they don't want to be? They don't want to be the New York Giants.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But you have to focus on what you're focused on. And right now, your team is not equipped to even sign Micah Parsons because you're going to have 3 guys, and you're only going to have 3 guys. And the rest of the guys are going to be from CFL, right?
Another one that would be very interesting to me is I think the Niners are looking for a refresh a little bit with the Bosa era. And I think it would be very interesting to see if there's some type of we're going to move on, maybe trade.
I wouldn't mind that because Micah has been more healthy than Bosa also. And if they roll with him, obviously they got to figure out, the Brock Purdy situation and things like that. So
I love the Lions fit. I love the Lions fit, but I hope it doesn't happen for me. I really hope it's Chicago. Just cap space wise, we have the money to sign him.
Yep,
that's the biggest part of this. Is like this is going to be a big boy deal. As deserved.
Yeah, they say he might be the highest paid defensive player in NFL history.
I mean, he deserves it. He can literally play every position.
Earned it. And he fits Chicago, right? Yeah. Like, how many edge rushers have y'all had?
Come on, Micah. Bring it down, baby.
So, let's talk about this, man. We're talking about trade destinations. There's quite a few players. And we have to start with our guy who's desperately, he just wants to win. And every time he chases a quarterback, that quarterback leaves him. That's Davante Adams. Leaving the New York Jets, where should Davante Adams go?
Davante, I got one place for you, baby.
Uh-oh.
Keenan Allen's gone, right?
He out of here.
come on down to Chicago. Okay. I know, listen, you know how to play in the cold. Yep. Okay, he played in Green Bay. Want to play with a young guy? What would be better for Caleb than having that dude? Learning how, like, winning culture matters. And Davante wants to win. He wants to win, and he wants to win bad. Mm-hmm. And I think for young guys in that locker room, the young receivers, like Rome would benefit a lot from being around Davante. Just being a professional in general. Davante handles his business.
Yeah, he does.
He handles his business, and he is a business. I think he would benefit dramatically from being there. He's already been in the cold weather, and I think he needs to go somewhere with a younger quarterback where his voice can have a lot of say, where he's not with Aaron Rodgers or whatever. Like, no, dude, you're a future Hall of Famer. You deserve that. You deserve that. And any team would be lucky to have him, but when I think about Keenan Allen being that one-year guy from last year, this would be a nice way to bring somebody else in to help Caleb, because I know Keenan helped Caleb a lot. Yeah. So you got to have somebody like that again.
And for Davante's sake, you can't do this again, right? Like, no. I can't go somewhere else where the quarterback is leaving. So you need to look at stable quarterback situations if I'm Davante Adams. So if I'm Davante Adams, I like the Chicago Bears because you know Caleb is going to be there, right? Yep. I look at the Baltimore Ravens. That's another spot that I like. Spot. Amari Cooper is up in Buffalo Bills. I look at Buffalo, right? I want an all-pro quarterback that I know is going to be there for the next 3 to 5 years, and we 100%. Have a window to compete. So that's what I want for Davante, because like you said, he deserves it. Aaron Rodgers leaving Green Bay triggered him wanting to get traded. The Raiders screwed him over.
There's another. I just thought of one. Sorry to interrupt you.
All right, go ahead. Which one?
The Chargers.
That's another.
They need a receiver.
They
bad
do
like that.
Yeah.
Bad. Justin Herbert would I'm just envisioning launch that to him, right? They need somebody other than Ladd McConkey.
The only thing I worry about with him, and I think he'll be a good fit for him, I just don't know if he'll put up the same numbers just because Harbaugh runs the football so
for sure.
Much, right?
But he's also
he will be valued, and he will be a very important piece to their winning combination.
And I think he would like playing for Harbaugh.
Yeah, that's true, too. Yeah, like it's back to football, right?
Because he's been dealing with a lot of BS.
Eliminate the bullshit.
Yeah, like, hey, give me a football guy that's going to guarantee me we're going to compete. We're going to go out there. We're not going to get our ass kicked. We're not going to get embarrassed. Like, he's had 2 back-to-back embarrassing, bad, or I don't think he needs to be in a place where he's just going to guarantee himself 9 to 10 wins. Like, that's the low end.
And the quarterback going to be there.
And that's Harbaugh. That's Harbaugh with just, like, Harbaugh doesn't lose, right? Yeah. You know the threshold. Baltimore or L.A., just stick with the Harbaughs, Davante. Yeah. Probably for the best, but I would love you in Chicago. Love you in Chicago.
Let's go with this. Let's go with a defensive guy. Myles Garrett. He made it known he wants the hell out of Cleveland.
Yep.
Myles, if I was you, I wanted the hell out 5 years ago.
No shit.
But where do we see for potential trade destinations for Myles Garrett? What do you like?
So even more so than Micah, because how much Micah is going to have to get paid. I think Micah going to Chicago makes more sense because of the deal. I think Myles going to Detroit then is a perfect fit, because in everything I said about Micah, same with Myles. Like, you need the Lions need another guy on defense, because they lost all their coordinators, okay, literally almost the whole coaching staff. And they're going to be looking for a new identity. And as much as Jared Goff has been your identity, without Ben Johnson, this is not going to be your identity moving forward. Your identity is going to be running the football and playing hard defense. And they got to fix that. Like, they got to get somebody else besides Aiden. So I think adding Myles would be great for them. I think he fits going there more than Chicago, obviously. So I'm going to stick with Detroit. They need a pass rusher, and I think Myles would love playing for Dan Campbell and not dealing with the bullshit that he's been dealing with in Cleveland his entire career.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is another, I think, Washington Commander situation, sure. Right? I look at that.
They need defense.
Yeah, they need defense bad. Is there any way that he doesn't go to a right off the top contender? And we out here in the Valley, and I thought about Arizona and how much they need a defensive identity. But does he even want to do that, right? It's an upgrade because you go from Cleveland to Arizona, right? It's always an upgrade.
For sure. But I think when you saw what he wrote.
Well, yeah.
I don't think he's bullshitting. I think he is serious. I think he is like, no, I want to, like, he's very calculated in what he wants to accomplish. Yeah. Like, he's laid out, he's been very vocal, and he's achieved everything individually that he can. I think he's got to go somewhere where, like, he sees a path for a Super Bowl, right? That's why I said the Lions for him make a lot of sense. This is a team that's been on the rise. This is a team that's been winning. Go be a part of something and go be a part of winning for a city that's going to feel similar to Cleveland, right? Like I think he would, but much closer to winning a Super Bowl, obviously, than Cleveland, who's very far away with no quarterback situation dialed in. So,
yep. Let's go one more. Let's do Tyreek Hill.
Oh.
The Dolphins moving on from Tyreek Hill.
Didn't you say last week that you were thinking about him going back to the Chiefs?
There we go. I was going to say it again. Kansas City. I think they
Christ.
just need to go ahead and make it happen. It makes sense. Just bring them back with Patrick Mahomes. We've seen the cap on the Kansas City Chiefs offense, right? They just need a consistent playmaker. And if Travis Kelce is doing this, right, they need somebody that's still operating at this level because as currently constructed, they're good, not great. They need an X-Factor guy. And I think just bringing them back, he knows all the guys. He knows the locker room. He knows the culture. He's been okay in Miami as far as character-wise, right? I think he'll come in there. Yeah. And sometimes you got to send people out to see if the grass is greener, right? It's like, how was that? You like Miami, partying, clubs. After the hangover, how many games did y'all win? Right now, bring your ass back home. Let's win some more football games. Patrick Mahomes will probably get them 2 more Super Bowls, and Tyreek Hill will be on their way. But I think it's been a reality check for him because it's not like they sent him to Cleveland, right? You hear you're going to Miami as a player, and you're like, oh, man, I already won a Super Bowl or 2. I'm going to Miami. I'm going to have a good time. But after those clubs shut down, right? After you're tired of driving that Lamborghini, I'm serious, because that's what you think about. You think about going out, enjoying life and being outside. But after that, your job is still football. And if you're still labeled as a loser, you're not cutting on the TV and they're talking about Tyreek Hill being a top 5 wide receiver no more. Now you start to get that reality check of, damn, what do I really care about, right?
And he liked that first year of Miami a lot.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Talked a lot, had a lot to say, all that.
But remember we had this conversation a couple months ago. What did we start talking about? The Miami Dolphins are going to have to do something because the players in the locker room are not going to want to commit to Tua Tagovailoa being healthy.
100%.
And I think that's part of the reason.
And he went from telling us that Tua was the best quarterback in the NFL to now asking for a trade out of there. And I think I look out here in the NFC West, and I think of the Arizona Cardinals being in an interesting situation. You've got, obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr., but 2 totally different players the way that they play.
Yeah,
They've got cap space available. They really got to do something with Kyler right now. Like, they're in a shit or get off the pot type of time. Like, with their coach, with the quarterback, with everybody, like, what a perfect dynamic of speed with Kyler and Tyreek. Like, I can see Kyler, like, getting out of the pocket and throwing it down to Tyreek. Like, that could be really fun. That could be really fun, and it would benefit this team. They need somebody else. They need another playmaker, and I think Tyreek would love coming to Arizona, too.
Yeah, I like that. And it prompted something else, right? Because we're going to talk about this quarterback carousel. But you triggered something. And you talked about the Kyler Murray, and I think this is where you at with this, is that this situation is really close to not going bad, but going stale.
Yeah.
Right? Like just being stale, like just a stale product. And so let's do the quarterback carousel. And I actually want to start with Kyler Murray.
Ooh.
Kyler Murray on the move. I'm going to start with my destination.
Okay.
He doesn't have to go far. Las Vegas. I think if you're the Las Vegas Raiders, you put him with Pete Carroll, a proven quarterback, Brock Bowers, young offensive line, you still have to put pieces together. Pete Carroll is going to get the most out of Kyler. He's going to take the ball out of his hands. He's going to make him run make the team run the football, right? He's going to be calculated. He's going to believe in him, much like he did with Russell Wilson. And Kyler Murray's already proved he has a floor, right? Like you know what he is in the NFL. Now the question is, can I get the ceiling out of him? And I can't bet on any other head coach more than maybe Andy Reid to get the ceiling out of a guy in the NFL than what I can with Pete Carroll.
It's very interesting.
Las Vegas, I think, would definitely be a spot for him.
Man, I like that a lot too. The problem is you still got Gardner Minshew on your deal that you brought him in now with money, right? And you've got this top 10 pick that you've been flirting, and the fan base is real excited about Shedeur Sanders now.
No, but this is the problem. You don't know if you're gonna get Shedeur.
No, he's not gonna be there. I don't think.
Yeah, I think you're
gonna have to move up.
You won yourself, and do you want to for a roster that still needs rehabilitation to it and filling holes, right? Do you want to get into the position where you're trading away 3 first rounds to move into a guy that may be good? No. Why not just trade 1 first round or 2 first rounders for a guy you know the floor? Like, and the thing is this, that
and I love him with Pete.
Yeah, a bad Raiders is no different than the bad Cardinals,
Yeah,
right? So
for
you
sure.
know what you're going to get. You're going to get 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. That is light years better than what y'all have had in the past 5, 6 to 7 years, right? So I think you have identifiable floor.
And it's funny that you brought it up because I just did a radio spot with one of my former partners, Doug Franz. Shout out to Doug. And he asked me about Kyler, and I predicted that they would take phone calls for him.
Yep.
And I'm not reporting anything, but I am basing it off of the timing, the coaching, where they sit, and just overall how things have been with Kyler since the beginning.
Yeah.
Honestly. Because there was conversations about the Caleb Williams draft the year before when people were talking about, like, maybe we'd be ready to, not pay Kyler, get rid of him, go for – like, this has been a conversation, the contract, the video games, all – like, it's never really been a good situation here. And I think it would be – I would like for Kyler to be able to get another opportunity, and I think Arizona needs to hit the reset button too with the contract by drafting somebody, and I would love to have Shador and Dion out here. Come on down, baby. Come on down. That's what I'm going to hope for. So I'm with you. I think let's lock in Vegas Raiders for Kyler because you threw one at me that I wasn't prepared for, but a couple weeks ago I said, like, they are going to take calls. Like, I envision that they do because you got coach and GM on their asses on the line.
Yeah, 100%.
And they didn't draft him.
They need to figure something out.
Yep.
Let's go with this. We talked about Davante Adams being on the move. He's on the move because Aaron Rodgers on the move, right? So, Aaron Rodgers, where do we see Aaron Rodgers landing?
Oh, man. I kind of want you to retire, Aaron. I'm going to be honest, because I've sat here, I've looked at this so many times, and I think the one I landed on is the one that I just feel like he's going to do because he's petty, and I think he's going to follow the trajectory of Brett Favre, and I think the Minnesota Vikings make a lot of sense. We talked about this. You let Sam Darnold walk. You don't pay him. You let J.J. McCarthy sit for a year, and you go one year all in
trying to figure it out.
This last year, and Aaron, you give it everything you got this last year, right? And I think when you look at that wide receiving core, right, and the offensive line that they have, and the running, Aaron Jones, a guy he loves and knows how to utilize, and that coaching staff, I think it makes a lot of sense, right? Mm-hmm. And it would be so bizarre if it happens because to literally follow the exact trajectory of Brett Favre is, quite frankly, ridiculous.
Honestly, it's weird, right?
Can
we call it
very
weird?
weird.
It's weird.
But I kind of feel like he's going to do that. Like, I feel like there's a really good chance because it's just, this is how the NFL happens. It's like the NFL script. Like, it kind of it feels like this has been scripted and it's just going to happen, right?
And then you identify the script and then it still happens. Yeah. You say, you know what? We're going to give the people what they want.
And I think Kevin O'Connell is probably one of the few coaches that I think could handle Aaron, quite frankly. Like, you got to have a coach that's going to be able to not back down to Aaron for this to work. Because what happened in New York was that he walked all over that franchise.
Oh, did he?
And it did not work because Aaron's not a GM, okay? He's a quarterback. And he needs somebody who's going to coach him up, make him better, like Mike McCarthy did. And that's what he needs. And Matt LaFleur did until he couldn't do it anymore, right? Until Aaron wasn't listening. So, Aaron, humble yourself, bro. Humble yourself and understand that you're not the smartest guy in the room and you can always get better. Because I know you have that in you, and I don't want his career as much as a Bears fan. Like, this man haunted me for most of my childhood, right, of watching him and Brett Favre. I don't want a career like his to end like this. See, it feels bad.
I don't care.
I don't care. I'm a softie, I guess.
I don't care because you did it, right?
Yeah, I'm with you.
If things happen to you, I have all the sympathy in the world, right? If things happen out of your control, you did this. You did every step of this. You chose these paths. Keith has zero sympathy. I got zero for you, bro. I got nothing for you, big dog. My spot for Aaron Rodgers, I go back to the Bay, San Francisco 49ers. Mm-hmm. I think that's just going to drive intrigue with the Brock Purdy getting paid. I think it gives Kyle Shanahan the flexibility to say, hey, we're going to franchise tag you or, play out this last year and we'll see what happens, right? I think that you look at that as a potential possibility. And like we said, we talked about it. He's going to want – I could see Kyle Shanahan wanting a potential top dude. So he could try to get him a ring when everything goes to shits in the Super Bowl and he can't play call, right? It's like, you know what? I could just bank on having a top
Stafford versus Rodgers again, like we talked about.
That whole conversation. Yep. Let's go with this. Which one do I want to go with? We're going to go with the Steelers because the Steelers had two quarterbacks, right?
Yeah,
That'll
they
be
sure
on a quarterback carousel. Justin Fields. Let's talk about a fit for Justin Fields. Anything that pops off to you?
So here's the part where I have to admit out loud that I don't think that Justin's going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Wow. Okay.
I think that as much as I've held on and wanted it badly, I think Justin showed by going to another franchise and not, like, guys, watch the games. They were limited in what they could do with Justin. Mm-hmm. And he has limitations as a quarterback. And I don't know unless he is, I think mentally the Chicago time frame was really hard for him. And I think on top of that, he has some limitations that we probably saw throughout the scouting process, and they just have been exacerbated by his time frame in the NFL. And I think he's probably in a place where he's going to be a career backup. I don't know that he's going to be a starter. And I don't see a natural fit for him, quite frankly, because the only one that I see is like Baltimore.
Yeah.
And like what is required is what Baltimore did. And no franchise is going to do that. They're going to change their entire system to build around a guy like Lamar. That's what Justin needed, and it's just rare. People don't do that. So I just don't. It's less about not believing in Justin. It's more about me understanding the system and knowing how this works and not trusting the rest of the NFL to do it.
I got one.
Okay.
I got one.
I love
got
it.
a good one.
Okay.
This the one right here.
Okay, lay it on me.
Justin Fields to the Indianapolis Colts. Put him behind Anthony Richardson. That system is built for Justin Fields.
You believe that after what you just saw with Anthony Richardson and the debacle that has been there, that you trust them to take on another situation like that?
Hear what I'm saying. Anthony, the play calling was not the problem.
No.
First of all, they have a good wide receiver core.
Yeah.
They need to add a tight end. They're one of the best running backs in the NFL.
Okay.
They have a solid offensive line.
I'm with you.
Now, here's my point, is that and this is where we have to be fair, right? Some of the stuff was on the Indianapolis Colts.
Yes.
Some of it wasn't.
Some of it's on Anthony.
Anthony Richardson tapping out, I can't put that on the head coach. That was on Anthony Richardson. That was a large portion of this, right? Them drafting Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson getting injured. Mm-hmm. That's not on the head coach. That's not on the head coach.
For sure.
That's
and
not on
him
the
being
staff.
who he is.
Thank you.
Isn't on any, like, that's just who he is.
So my point is, because you talked about any organization that's going to be able to flip, right, and be like, you know what, we're going to commit to the run game. They try to run the football with Anthony Richardson. He gets injured, right?
And that's not, I get where you're headed now.
You see what I'm saying? Like, it's like insulating him and putting him in a position to where this team is built to fit what Justin Fields does. They want to call RPO. Shane Steichen was with Jalen Hurts when Jalen Hurts ran the football 10, 15 times a game. Mm-hmm. The difference is Jalen Hurts doesn't get hurt. Anthony Richardson does, right? Yeah. I would take a swing on him if I'm the Indianapolis Colts, because I'm like, this is actually the guy that if we were in place 4 years ago, he would have fit this system for us. We would have taken him, because you would have taken.
He's kind of everything that they wanted Anthony
Richardson to be. A running quarterback that's explosive, big arm, maybe have a couple accuracy issues,
better processors,
play good football.
Better leader.
This is the guy. This is the guy you roll with.
And I'm all in for this.
I didn't put it together. I started thinking, because you were right. Then when I was trying to roll through NFL teams, and I'm like, man, who the hell would flip stuff over? Yeah. And I'm like, nobody. And then I thought of the Indianapolis Colts, and I'm like, you know what? That would be a situation he doesn't have to worry about flipping the entire team. It was built for that. That's what they wanted to do with Anthony Richardson.
I kind of love this now that I think about it.
We got to make it happen.
Because you know what? It's you got to find a team that we know Pittsburgh will deal with Indianapolis they'll deal with. 2, a good situation for Justin that fits for him as much as it fits for the organization. And 3, Anthony Richardson and the fan base is in a tough spot.
In a weird spot right now, yeah.
So this, I think you can sell this to the fan base.
And as long as he's, and I hate to say it like this, as long as he's baseline, I think the Colts would take baseline. Because they made
from him this year, the Colts are winning like that.
Thank you, 100%.
In that division? Are you kidding?
In the AFC South, where some teams took steps backwards. So I think that's a spot we need to drive the narrative. Justin Fields to the Indianapolis Colts.
Justin Fields to the Colts. Here's looking at you guys. Let's make it happen. Jim Irsay, we'll see you in Indy in a week.
Let's do this. The Pittsburgh Steelers had 2 quarterbacks. Our guy, Russ. Let Russ cook. Russell Wilson, where do you think he should go?
Here's where I'm going to talk to Pittsburgh very nicely. Okay? Pittsburgh, let's run this back, keep Russ, okay, and put some damn wide receivers around him besides George Pickens.
Yep.
Because when George Pickens was healthy, that offense looked pretty damn good. But when he missed that 4-game stretch, they didn't have anybody else to throw to. Nope. And I don't think, like, with a straight face, Mike Tomlin, I know that's a good man. He ain't going to look me in the face and tell me they did everything right to put people around Russell Wilson. There's no chance. So don't get rid of Russ. Keep him in your system. Let him come back. Build some stability around this.
Yeah.
And give yourself an opportunity to build the next. Russ has got 2-3 years. You got that. He's still in the middle. He's not Aaron Rodgers' age. He's a couple years younger than him. He's 5 years younger than him, more than that. I think he's 34. Like, he's still in his prime. Let him cook. Let Russ cook. Go get the guys like the offense they had in Seattle. When you saw that version of him, get a better running back. This running back class is loaded.
You don't have running backs.
Ollie Gordon, just saying, it's a perfect fit. We saw him spend a lot of time with Mike T at the Senior Bowl. Oh, my God, this would be a great fit. Yeah. Just keep Russ. Keep some – because what are you going to do? What are you going to upgrade to?
Yeah, and you're going to throw a rookie out there and potentially take a step backwards. And I agree with you. You probably said everything I wanted to say. Russell Wilson was not your problem. You have a wide receiver problem. You have a running back problem. You have an offensive line problem. Russell Wilson was not your problem. He kept you baseline. Honestly, I don't know if you make the playoffs without Russell Wilson. No, you don't. Right? So I agree with you. Running back with Russell Wilson. Yeah. There's one other guy we need to bring up, right? Kirk bangs Kirk Cousins, man. He was benched for our guy, Michael Penix. Coming off, obviously, the Achilles injury the year before. It seems like this thing just nosedived, right?
Yeah.
Because the Falcons were in playoff contention. Kirk was playing good.
Yeah, he had a great
start. And it was
start.
a 5-interception game, and then it went downhill.
Nosedive, yeah.
Quickly. Destinations for Kirk Cousins.
This one I'm excited about.
Yep, let's talk.
There's been a bromance in the NFL for the last decade of a coach and a quarterback that were together a couple teams ago and have flirted with trying to recoup this relationship. And I'm talking about Kyle Shanahan, and I'm talking about Kyle Shanahan and the Niners, okay? Yep. This goes back to the Washington Commanders. You like that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Because he was the OC, right?
Yeah.
He was the OC.
Yeah. This goes back to that time frame. And bringing that together and bringing that quarterback, Kirk is the right quarterback to handle the Brock thing, right? And Brock could learn from Kirk potentially, and maybe you figure out what you got there, and maybe you end up keeping Brock long-term, but this is your year to go in with Kirk. There's a lot. Those two guys, I think, can handle that situation, and I think Kyle is in that position where he wants to go, right? And I agree with you that I think it could be Aaron, and I think it could be Kirk. I think they're going to be in on both of them. And because Kirk's younger, Kirk knows the offense, and Kirk and Kyle have been like this for a long time, I could see this playing out and it being good for both sides. And I kind of want it for Kirk. Because they flirted with each other for a long time. It's time to just make it a relationship, boys. Let's make it happen.
When I look at it, so first off, the 49ers addressing that one. There are so many reasons why I agree with that, right? And like you said, it's the Kyle Shanahan thing. And Kyle Shanahan, he has built enough cachet, that's the right word, right? Enough cachet in the NFL to where, like, okay, cool, this is running stale. I'm the hell up out of here. And he'll find a head coaching job the next year,
100%.
right? Without a doubt, like, teams will be lining up for him. So I think the 49ers are almost, and I think this is what you were talking about on the defensive side of the football with Micah Parsons and Nick Bosa. They're hitting that transition period to where that version of the team will not be here anymore.
Yeah, Devo's on the trading block.
Age. Yep. Brandon Ayuk is coming back for ACL. You don't know how that's going to be. Trent Williams is getting older. The 49ers have so many different things. They're losing linebackers, things like that. So the Kirk Cousins thing I think would be interesting. That's what I would go with.
Who else? Where else? I feel like you have somewhere else in your head.
I did. I had two teams. First, I'm gonna talk about the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
Because if you build Callahan or Brian Callahan, you need a win, right? You like, listen.
Yeah.
I think
you're gonna get fired if you don't win this year.
And it's like I'm looking at this, and I don't know who's in control because nobody knows who the hell is in control with the Tennessee Titans. Whether it's the head coach, the GM, the head coach. The
I don't
owner.
think they know either.
Yeah, they don't know, right? But I'm like, hey, I need a veteran. I need somebody that's proven that he can just throw the goddamn football, and when I scheme somebody open, he can get it to him, right?
Sure.
Because that was not what it was with Will Levis. And you're already up to being fired. You only got 1 year. Yeah. You only got 1 year, and you're already up for being fired. Like, them people are talking about you getting fired already. So I want a proven quarterback. I look at Kirk Cousins. He's a timing and rhythm thrower. He throws in anticipation. I think he's a not even think, we know, he's the BC level version of Joe Burrow. Right,
Yeah.
little less athletic, little less on talent.
He's the better version of Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, the better version of Ryan Tannehill.
The guy you already did this with.
And if you feel like you can get, but there's not a place, to Kirk Cousins' credit, there's not a place in a wide receiver that is not happy playing with Kirk Cousins.
No.
Because he throws the rock.
And he's a great teammate.
Thank you. He gets the football off.
Yep.
He puts up numbers. When is the last time we felt good about the Tennessee Titans offense throwing the football? Steve McNair. That's the last time.
Aaron
I'm not
McNair.
buying into the Ryan Tannehill stuff. That was running the football.
No, it was a Derrick Henry show.
Yeah, that was Derrick Henry.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. No, Kirk is like, in fantasy, Kirk Cousins is a fantasy quarterback you always feel comfortable
yeah,
with.
100%.
Because he's always going to put up consistent numbers. He'll throw a pick here and there, but he's always going to give you 3 touchdowns to 300 yards, basically. Like, you can guarantee that. And I think that's where I like the fit in this. It's a lot of him and Aaron are going to be the same spots. Like, you're going to be looking at very similar situations. And the reality is Kirk's contract's a lot more favorable for a team.
Yep.
He's much younger, and you're getting an exact opposite attitude. So you better have, like, Tennessee's in a place where I feel like they need to really watch culture, right? I feel like San Francisco could handle Aaron because they've already been in a window. They've already been with the personalities. But Tennessee, you're in a young, like, trying to build something culture-wise. You can't afford to have Aaron there, quite frankly. He's a culture vulture. Like, he is going to ruin your franchise. Literally. He is not the fit. No. He's not the fit. Kirk is, though. Kirk is the young, like, Kirk could mentor Will Levis. Who knows what Will Levis looks like after a year spending time with, because that's who Kirk is. Everybody got to fall in love with the Kirk Cousins during the Netflix show because he's just a great man. He's a great man, and I think, yeah, I think that's where I'm going to land is I want Tennessee to take Kirk Cousins, and I want Aaron Rodgers to go out to the 49ers. So I can get Stafford v. Rodgers 2.0 in the NFC West, and I can watch it from Arizona and just watch it all implode.
in Shador in Arizona.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
That's
Bring on Shador, baby. Bring on Shador.
And Kyler in Vegas. So we putting all the stuff together. The West Coast is going to be
What
popping.
a fun little, I like it.
Guess what? The regular season is over with. Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champs, but you know it's just getting started? Draft Club is our season now. It's draft season. Listen, I'm Keith Sanchez. That's Paige Dimakos. It's Draft Club, players only.